Welcome to Herdly, where books turn into 3 stories, refreshing your knowledge in minutes. Today we study together The Hipster Economy by Alessandro Gerosa, in which we probe into the paradox of authenticity in late modern capitalism, where seeking the authentic becomes a mainstream economic pursuit, reflecting deep societal shifts. Alessandro Gerosa is a lecturer in marketing at the University of Birmingham, UK. Don't go away. Herdly the editor will be right back with the story. Today, I want to share 3 captivating stories that bring to life the paradox of authenticity in our modern world. We'll journey from a gourmet coffee shop in a bustling city to a small village with a thriving local brewery, and finally, to the neon-lit streets of a global metropolis where a vintage store is rewriting the rules of fashion. Story 1: The Coffee Conundrum. In the heart of a thriving city, there's a tiny coffee shop that prides itself on serving the most authentic, handcrafted coffee. The shop is a haven for those seeking a genuine experience, from the locally sourced beans to the intricate latte art that tops each cup. The owner, Mark, is a passionate barista who spent years perfecting his craft, learning from the best in coffee culture hubs around the world. One afternoon, I met Mark as he meticulously prepared a cup of single-origin espresso. He told me about his quest for authenticity, how he traveled to remote farms in Ethiopia to personally select the beans that would carry his shop's reputation. "I wanted to offer something real," Mark said. "Something that people could taste and feel in every sip." But as we talked, Mark shared a concern that weighed heavily on his mind. Despite his dedication to authenticity, he noticed that many of his customers were more interested in the Instagrammable moments his coffee provided than in the coffee itself. They snapped photos of their drinks, the rustic decor, and the handwritten menus, but few took the time to savor the flavors. "It's like the image of authenticity has become more important than the actual experience," Mark lamented. This tension between the pursuit of the real and the superficial trappings of authenticity is at the heart of the paradox. As Mark's story shows, even the most genuine efforts can be co-opted by the demands of a culture that values appearance over substance. In Mark's own words, "Sometimes I wonder if I'm serving coffee or just a lifestyle." Story 2: The Village Brewery. Our next story takes us to a small village known for its local brewery. The brewery was started by Emma, a young entrepreneur who left her corporate job in the city to return to her roots. Emma's mission was simple: to revive traditional brewing methods that had been lost in the rush of industrialization. She wanted her beers to embody the spirit of the village, using recipes passed down through generations, local ingredients, and even water from the village's ancient well. Emma's brewery quickly became a local success, attracting not just villagers but also tourists eager for an authentic taste of rural life. They came for the stories as much as the beer, tales of how Emma's great-grandfather brewed in the same barrels, how the hops were picked by hand, how the entire process was a labor of love. "People love the idea of drinking something that feels like it has a soul," Emma explained. But as the brewery's fame spread, Emma faced a new challenge. Larger breweries began approaching her with offers to buy her brand or mass-produce her beer. They promised to keep the authentic branding intact while scaling up production to meet global demand. Emma was torn. She wanted to share her beer with the world, but she feared that scaling up would dilute the very authenticity that made her brewery special. "I don't want to be just another label on a supermarket shelf," she said. "But I also don't want to keep this to myself. It's a tough choice." Emma's story highlights the delicate balance between maintaining authenticity and growing a business in a globalized world. It's a struggle between staying true to one's roots and adapting to the pressures of a market that often rewards scale over substance. Story 3: The Vintage Fashion Dilemma. Finally, we arrive in a bustling metropolis, where a vintage clothing store has become the talk of the town. The store, owned by Sarah, is a treasure trove of fashion from the past, offering everything from 1950s dresses to 1980s punk jackets. Sarah's shop is more than just a store. It's a statement against fast fashion. She believes in the value of recycling, reusing, and appreciating the craftsmanship of clothes that were made to last. Sarah's store is meticulously curated, with each item handpicked for its history and quality. She can tell you the story behind every piece, from the designer's inspiration to the original owner's lifestyle. Her customers, often disillusioned by the homogeneity of modern fashion, flock to her store for something different, something real. However, Sarah noticed a shift in her clientele. What started as a niche market for true vintage lovers began attracting a broader audience, driven more by trends than a genuine appreciation for vintage fashion. People come in asking for the vintage look without really caring about the history or the quality, Sarah observed. They want to look like they're wearing something unique, but they don't really want to understand what makes it unique. This change bothered Sarah because it felt like her store's essence was being lost. The clothing was no longer valued for its authenticity, but for its ability to confer a certain image. As the demand for vintage grew, Sarah faced pressure to stock more items that fit the aesthetic, even if they weren't truly vintage. "I'm starting to feel like I'm selling a fantasy rather than preserving history," she confessed. Sarah's dilemma underscores the irony of how the pursuit of authenticity can sometimes lead to its own erosion. As more people seek out what's authentic, the very concept becomes commodified, often at the expense of the genuine article. Conclusion. These three stories, Mark's coffee shop, Emma's brewery, and Sarah's vintage store, illustrate the paradox of authenticity in today's world. They reveal how the pursuit of the authentic, while noble, can sometimes be overshadowed by the demands of a society that increasingly values the image of authenticity over the substance. The paradox lies in the tension between staying true to one's values and adapting to the realities of a market that often rewards appearance over essence. As the editor of Herdley, through learning these, we may find ourselves redefining authenticity in a way that balances integrity with innovation, carving out a future where the genuine can thrive without compromise. The paradox of authenticity in late modern capitalism is a complex and compelling issue that resonates through various aspects of our lives. As we've seen in the stories of Mark, Emma, and Sarah, the pursuit of something genuine often leads to unexpected challenges, where the image of authenticity can overshadow the reality. One more story from the book that perfectly encapsulates this paradox involves a small, family-run bakery in Paris. The bakery is famous for its traditional baguettes, made from a recipe that has been passed down for generations. The owner, Pierre, takes pride in every loaf, insisting on using only the finest ingredients and refusing to cut corners. However, as the bakery's reputation grew, so did the pressure to produce more. Tourists flocked to the shop, eager to taste authentic French bread. Pierre found himself at a crossroads: maintain the labor-intensive process that made his bread special, or automate parts of it to meet demand. He knew that automation could help him serve more customers, but he feared it would strip away the very soul of his bakery. "It's not just bread," Pierre said. "It's my heritage.